Imagine this. The creator of Sherlock Holmes, the world's greatest fictional detective, a man famous for logic, observation, and solving impossible mysteries, was completely convinced that fairies were real, not because of ancient legends, not because of folklore, but because of 5 photographs taken by 2 young girls in a quiet English village. For decades, millions of people believed those photographs were genuine. So, how did 2 children fool some of the smartest minds of the 20th century? This is the story of the Cottingley Fairies. The year was 1917. Europe was trapped in the horrors of the First World War. While soldiers fought across the continent, life continued quietly in the small village of Cottingley in Yorkshire, England. There lived 2 cousins, Elsie Wright, age 16, and Frances Griffiths, just 9 years old. The girls often disappeared into the woods behind their home. Whenever adults asked where they'd been, they always gave the same answer. We were playing with the fairies. Naturally, no one believed them, until one afternoon, they returned carrying something extraordinary. Elsie's father owned a simple mid-quarter plate camera. The girls borrowed it, walked into the garden, and came back with a photograph. It appeared to show Frances surrounded by tiny winged fairies dancing beside a stream. Everyone was stunned. Some dismissed it immediately. Others weren't so sure. A few months later, the girls produced another photograph, then another. Eventually, there were 5 fairy photographs. Each one seemed to show magical creatures posing calmly beside the children. In an era long before Photoshop, many people simply couldn't explain what they were seeing. The photographs eventually reached one of Britain's most famous writers, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Ironically, he was the man who created Sherlock Holmes, a detective who solved every mystery using logic and evidence. But outside his novels, Conan Doyle had become deeply interested in spiritualism. He believed the physical world wasn't the whole story. When he saw the fairy photographs, he became convinced they were authentic. He arranged for photography experts to examine the images. The experts found no evidence that the photographic plates had been altered. That didn't prove the fairies were real, only that the negatives themselves hadn't been manipulated after the pictures were taken. To Conan Doyle, that was enough. In 1920, he published the photographs in the Strand magazine. Soon, millions of readers around the world were debating one impossible question. Could fairies actually exist? Today, the photographs may seem obviously fake, but in 1917, the world was very different. Photography was still relatively new. Most people trusted photographs as objective evidence. At the same time, the First World War had left millions grieving the loss of loved ones. Many people desperately wanted to believe that unseen worlds, spirits, and miracles might be real. The fairy photographs arrived at exactly the right moment. They offered hope, wonder, and perhaps proof that the universe was more mysterious than anyone imagined. For decades, the girls maintained their story. But in the early 1980s, more than 60 years later, they finally confessed. The fairies had been paper cutouts. Elsie had copied illustrations from a children's book, cut them out, supported them with hat pins, and photographed them carefully. It was an innocent childhood prank, one that somehow fooled the world. Interestingly, Frances continued to insist until late in her life that one of the 5 photographs might have captured something real. Whether she truly believed that, or simply wanted to preserve a little mystery, remains unknown. The Cottingley Fairies remind us that intelligence alone doesn't protect us from deception. Sometimes, people believe extraordinary things, not because the evidence is overwhelming, but because the story gives them hope, and perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all. If you enjoyed uncovering one of history's greatest hoaxes, subscribe to Enigma Frequency, because sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.